Alright, next we're going to be threading the upper looper on the same side. So this will be this location. We're going to be working, it'll be a yellow color. That's what we'll be looking for around here and in our threading diagram. Since it is the second furthest to the right, we know that it is the second furthest to the right over here as well. Always remember, you need to make sure that your thread can spool off cleanly. And let me find the end of the thread. There we go. The first spot is the guide bar all the way up here, and let me remind you that the guide hole up here needs to be directly above the cone of yarn so that it can spool off cleanly. And then it'll be going through this guide. This will help kick some of the kinks out of the yarn before we go down to the machine. And we're going to do it again down here at the machine. You thread it from the back and from the back again. This is helping smooth out any kinks in the yarn. Your tweezers are going to help you very much today. So go ahead and thread the guide by the tension disc. And just like always, make sure that thread is inside the tension disc, not to the right, not to the left, but inside the disc, and you can make sure it's in there by giving it a good pull so it kind of snaps in there. And there is one more guide right under that tension disc. And then we gotta thread it through the channel. I just shove it down there. If you need to use canned air to kind of push it down there, you can do that as well. Grab it and pull it through. So now we're in here. Looking at the diagram, I can tell that our first point of contact is going to be right here. It has a yellow dot, so that confirms that that's where we're going to be threading first. We're going to be following only the yellow colors right now. And do be careful, it might be easier to thread the upper looper before the under looper. You don't want your thread to be crossing on top here. I understand from my diagram that I'm gonna need to be threading from here to down here. And so I am going to pass my thread behind the other thread. I can tell just because these guide points are closer to me than the yellow ones. And then I'm gonna thread this guide. See how this thread is now behind the under looper thread. When you're threading this area, you'll usually be zigzagging, threading an upper part, then a lower part, then an upper part, and then a lower part. That's the nature of this area. So now that we've done our 4 points, I need to thread the upper looper. You always need to move the hand wheel a little bit just to get the looper in a good position to thread it from. There's also a guide right here, one last guide. I noticed it because it has a yellow dot that I need to thread before threading the looper, so I'm going to do that right now. Alright, so you can tell on the looper that there's this ridge on the front of it. That's where the thread is going to be resting eventually after I thread it from the side to the front. This one's a little tricky because it almost looks like this thread hole's on the other side of the looper, but in fact it is on the right side, right there. So I'm going to thread it like so. And then I need to thread it from the front to the back on the other side of that looper, and then we're going to be done with that one. I'm going to pass it to the back. And that's it.